Basement, level vibes with another one, straight up, blackness aye. Who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, I do it for the love, him not do it for no money. Straight up, him attack, educating everybody. Big up my friends and big up my family. Turn on the radio, catch the vibes, it's integrity. Straight up, Benskop stands for unity. One people, one nation, one destiny. Free up the truth in the air, even the blind can see. The deaf can hear, the dumb can talk, the cripple can walk. Boom. Who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, we have to gather wrong, grab a seat and sit down, pay attention. Education, liberation, we have to stand strong. Benskop upon the radio, lively up the program. Everybody call somebody and let them turn and tune and on the radio and catch the boom song. We boom it up already, we have to boom it up again. Expose and reveal him. Who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop,
Yeah, my name is Jacinty Caldata Francis Vietnam, and since 1965 I become a voter, and I always place my ex next to the cop. And what they are doing today, I can't take it. So I have no more vote to give to PPP anymore. I'm not going to vote anymore no more. If they have to lose by one vote, they're losing it by data.
Hey fans, it's karaoke and oldies night this and every Thursday at Club Twilight Sideline Dam, Buxton. Dance to the magical songs of yesteryear by popular DJs and Camps Audio. Admission is free. Come out, let's make memories at Club Twilight, Sideline Dam, Buxton North.
Oh Jesus Christ, if cost of living double, I don't know what happened. A pound of sugar is $300 already. Flour, everything gone up. Everything just raising. You gotta get about $40,000 for buy good ration. You gotta get 3 man now. A weekend man, a monthly man, and a fortnight man.
Yeah, my name is Jacinty Caldata Francis Vietnam, and since 1965 I become a voter, and I always place my ex next to the cop. And what they are doing today, I can't take it. So I have no more vote to give to PPP anymore.
There and fabricate that. Unless you say who the person is, I can't comment on anonymous people.
Okay, well, let's talk about specific individuals. What is your relationship with Mr. Su Jurong?
Su? Oh, Su.
Hawk 2.
basically said valid votes counts, votes cast must, more votes cast must mean.
Where do we start? Good night. It's 10 minutes after. All of you, the regulars, and I'm sorry that I have to call you guys the regulars because that's what you guys are, right? We're all regulars, and there's no big shot people on this show. Those who want to be big shot, go. Well, I don't know where to send you guys, but this is what you call the real show, so to speak. I'm not trying to be full of myself to say that this is other people and stuff, they consider their show, whatever. But what I'm trying to say, right? Sorry that I'm sounding a little bit like that little boy, that little punk, actually, Air Finale, right? Well, there's nobody, I can't even sing anyway close to him. He's just a rattlesnake, right? But good night to all of you, beautiful people, whoever you are, wherever you're watching us. Level vibes. I gotta invite him some night on this show because this is a guy that I just made contact with me, and he said, "Hey, Mark." Well, that's not how he sounds, right? He said, "Hey, Mark, I have a song for you about your show." That's what it is. Never met him in my life. Never did. Oops. Never did actually met this guy, but I just want to again publicly thank him. And those of you who see him on this live, send him a little thank you. If you have whatever, if you want him to make a commercial for you with a song or whatever, he does that. We didn't speak about this. I didn't promise him this, but sometimes you just got to be good to people too, right? There are some people who do things without expecting things in return. And then there are some people who give $1 and they want to tell the world that they give you $1. They give you 50 cents and they want to tell the world that they give Mark 50 cents or a Bob or 5 cents and 10 cents. And they tell the world, not just Mark, but there are others who give and don't say anything. This guy is one of them. Level vibes.
Basement, level vibes with another one, straight up, blackness aye, who tell the truth, Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth, Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit, Mark Benskop, straight up from the root, Mark Benskop, who tell the truth, Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth, Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit.
All right, Level Vibes. You got a big plug there tonight, Level Vibes. Heather, how are you doing, Heather? My gosh, everybody's like, I'm tuned in. And every single night they do, I'm tuned in. Oh, thank you all so much. I can't just call all of your names, but Raquel Gentle, I got you. I see you. Popcorn, all these things. Yeah, all of you. Hey, there is a guy that was on with us. Honestly, I think, he was accidentally blocked. There was no reason for him to be blocked. His name is Nigel Duke, I believe. Nigel Duke. So if you see him or you hear from him, tell him that we apologize, right? I take full responsibility for that. He did absolutely nothing. He's not a trench crappo. He didn't do anything to be blocked, but it was an accident. And so it was corrected. So Nigel Duke, if you're watching, don't let your bumps raise or feel any way. It wasn't anything that you did. It's at our end, and so I must apologize for that. There are others who, for some reason, they can't comment, and so they think that they are restricted by me or somebody else on Bench Up Radio, this page. Most of the times it's not us, mind you. I don't know. It's something to do with Facebook. But I just want to make this clear, that if you're attempting to blog on my personal page, if you're attempting to comment on my personal page and you're restricted from doing so, it could be because we are not connected as friends, meaning that you didn't send me a friend request, I didn't accept it, or if you sent me and I didn't accept it, and you're following me on my personal page, you cannot comment on it. And that has been that way for a long, long time. So some of you guys, y'all don't get upset. Y'all don't suck up y'all teeth. David Watts, what's going on? Barbara Barrington, Rajendra Dinat, what's going on, my friend? Norma Boyce, Denise Beard, Sharon Agard, all of you. I'm just calling the female names tonight. Forget about the guys. Don't have time with them. Paul Henry, how are you doing? Lorraine, every single one of you. Leroy McLean. Let me see who else I can say hi to. Claude B. Ram, Emily Durant, how are you? Ralston Scarce, Jai Shri Khan, how are you? Lynette Nelson, Celestine Kite from Kildonan, right? Okay. Susan London, the entire crew. Let me say good night to the guys at the cathedral too. How many of you guys know when I say good night to the folks at the cathedral, what exactly I'm trying to say to y'all? Tell me. Because some people might be asking this question. Why is it that Ben Sharp say at times good night to the people at the cathedral? How many of you guys, because some people say I love to throw shades, right? But I don't throw shades when I say good night to the guys at the cathedral. I don't do that. Why should I do that? Now, somebody around the cathedral got killed the other day. I don't know for what reason. The police seem to be after the perpetrator or perpetrators. And you just can't go around killing people. I'm just assuming here. But you just cannot go around killing people because of their sexuality. You know, let me say this. The cathedral, it's at your own risk. But those men who want to drive around at the cathedral and pick up those other guys out there dressed up, you know, it's at your own risk you do that, because those who do that, you like those sort of things. And don't try to hide it, some of you. Don't hide it. And so I don't know what happened. I don't know why that individual was killed, but you just cannot go around killing people because of their sexuality, because of their lifestyle. You just don't do that. Herney Park, how are you? Good night to all of you, all the parks, Coretta Park, Cousin Mildred. Oh my gosh, brings back lots and lots of memories, right? Garfield and the whole crew. Right, Herney, you got to come back to tell us what's happening there with the cane cutters, bro. What's happening? I'm not seeing much work. What's going on? You guys are happy? Right? Herney is a proud cane harvester. He's a representative of them, a bright guy. And don't think that only people who drop out of school or who didn't go to school cut cane, you know. Ernie is a bright guy, probably one of the brightest there at Alnis Village on the quarantine. The brightest. But he comes from a very good family, bright people. Give my regards to your mom, please, Ernie, and the rest of your family. All right, what else we can talk about? Brenda, Billy, how are you doing? So the cathedral, back to the cathedral, guys. For those men, some of you, it's okay. You do whatever you got to do. That's your lifestyle. If you're going around the cathedral tonight has somebody who's back to probably his lifestyle, probably of picking fear. Oops, I didn't say that. We don't speak like that on this show. But if you see a critic around the cathedral tonight, know that he has to raise money. $52 million. Or maybe Jack Day was going to give him that. Well, we know Jack Day get a lot of y'all money, right? Locked away, banked in somewhere, all over. So critic might head to the cathedral looking for clients. All ropey critic will be there looking for clients. So if you guys are going to go around the cathedral, be careful. Be careful with all hardback critic who is there to raise money. $52 million. $52 million. So what is he going to do at the cathedral? Somebody who doesn't know about the cathedral, Donna Hinson. I'm sure you know or heard about the cathedral, right? All of you guys, Afraz, Osman, I'm sure you heard about the cathedral. So be careful, because critic will be out there with his, they got a reggae song. Some of you may know, Girls, you look so sharp. Girls, you look so sharp anytime you walking in or somewhere. You guys know, right? So watch out for critics. $52 million. That SOB, $52 million. All right, hey, what else happening? What else is happening, guys? Talk to me. Talk to me. You guys want us to talk politics or you want us to talk a cathedral? It looks as though some of you want to talk just cathedral, but I'm going to be cautious about that because we do have pastors watching this show. We have Majis watching this show. Well, we have one imam who for certain isn't watching tonight because he was allegedly pulled in by U.S. law enforcement agents, and they questioned him, and allegedly they deported him. So he may not be watching tonight. He probably did some Epsom salts and whatever it is and is fast asleep right now. Fast asleep, right, Jackie Cameron? Hey, what else happening? Charlene Ducey, Tindre, Leela, how are you? Lily, yep. All of you, every single one of you. We appreciate you guys. I can say this all night, how much we appreciate you guys. You guys are loyal. I don't want to say followers. The other night, Nigel described you guys as my disciples. Now, I took offense to that, Nigel Hughes. I said, we are friends. We're a family here on 107.1 FM. You guys are not my disciples. Come on. Why would you say that, Nigel Hughes? Come on. We here allow the system to work. And when the system doesn't work, we stand up and we defend it by every single legal means necessary. Right, Vilma? All right, so we'll be cautious. The pastors are watching. Pastors, how are you guys doing? All right. Hey, and the pundits are watching too. So guess what? Guess what? What's on the agenda tonight? What do you guys want to talk about? Talk to me. What exactly you want to talk about tonight? I want to talk about this. What do you guys think about this here? Let's go.
It'll keep you on the job if you take your car and drive to the end of the road and come back. I'll wait right here and I'll keep you on the job. Take your car and drive and go in and come back out.
No, I can't drive on that road.
Well, then you can't keep the work.
I want you guys to listen again, one more time, because that's the way Guyana is right now. That's how it's being governed, managed by a bunch of Pakus. Let's go again. The biggest Paku of the night. And tell me if this Paku, Ejil, should get the award. The 107.1 FM award.
It'll keep you on the job if you take your car and drive to the end of the road and come back. I'll wait right here and I'll keep you on the job. Take your car and drive and go in and come back out.
No, I can't drive on that road.
Well, then you can't keep the work.
What do you guys think about that? David Watts, Freeries, Pride. What do you guys think about that? I'm looking at some of your comments though, right? It's Ejil. That's Ejil. The same Ejil that when Jagdir barked at him, he like a little poodle. He put his tail between his legs or his legs between his tails, whichever comes first. And then he ran, right? He couldn't say anything, but the mouth that he has in talking to people, all of them are like that. Every single one of them are like that, Sharon James, apart from ignorance at the highest level. Guess what? Almost all of them are like that. Remember how Irfan spoke to the engineer out on the West Coast, Barbies? Right? Remember that? Remember how he disrespected David Hines in Buxton? Oh, who's this joker here? That is how these folks are. They are a bunch of Pakus. They're a bunch of hoodlums. They're a bunch of gutter rats. That's exactly. I noticed Desiree Simmons, good night to you, ma'am, is saying context is missing. Well, that apparently is some sort of a contractor and whatever. And Ejil went and showed up in Imala, Rangi Negdamala, should just choky. Sorry about that. We have pastors watching this program. And so he showed up and apparently he wants to show that he's the boss, right? So he disrespected the contractor. If the contractor is building them roads like this, you don't blame the contractors. You blame those Pakus who give them the job. Because if you can't prove that you're competent enough to do a job, and then you have pacus like Edgil go after, try to embarrass these guys who are in it for a little hustle, right? And tell the big guy, jump in his car to drive to see if he can drive on the road. Well, if you can't drive, you're fired. Get out of here. The arrogance from these pacus. So hopefully I put that in context, what this was all about. Desiree Simmons. Let's go back to what this clung Edgil had to say.
I will keep you on the job if you take your car and drive to the end of the road and come back. I'll wait right here and I'll keep you on the job. Take your car and drive and go in and come back out.
No, I can't drive on that road.
Well, then you can't keep the work.
So then you can't keep the work. You can't keep the work. Just like that. The man say he can't drive his car and then go there. But then if you can't do that, contract terminated right there on the spot, because we have these clungs in office, clungs like Bishop, so-called Bishop Edgil. That is how they operate. The arrogance is beyond any sort of comprehension. And it happens every single day. But that's the same Paku, Edgil, when Jack Deere barked at him and say, Edgil, sit down, shut your mouth, sit. He couldn't say anything. He was like a little poodle. He was like a little pussy cat. Meow, meow. But look at the mouth that he has right now, right? To that contractor. Look at it. Now, the guy contractors do bear stupidness, right? Don't get me wrong. Contractors do bear stupidness, some of them. Some of them don't even have qualifications. They have no experience. Like that one, that big one that's going to the cathedral tonight, right? Hello. You're going to the cathedral tonight, and guess what? They have no experience. They have no qualifications. Okay, come quickly, come. They have no education. They have no experience. They have absolutely... Go ahead. Yeah. Okay, I'll get it done for you, sweetie. All right? Yep, I'll let... check with your mom. Have her give it to you. Tell her I say give it to you, please. All right? Probably outside there. Go ahead.
Where?
Thank you.
Downstairs?
No.
Where?
Right,
In the
right.
kitchen?
Yeah, probably in the kitchen. Close the door. Thank you. What else y'all want me to say? This is not the times when, thank you guys so much. Y'all know how I operate with Emma, right? The other two, Ryan busy, Jonathan busy, but it's the girl child. She comes into the office, and guess what? This is not like long time, you know. Long time, right, Donna Hinson? Long time your parents, all of you guys, your parents would dig a hole for you, boy. You got to come out, or they will give you that look, right? And then as soon as they're out of the office, guess what? Licks like peas, right? You think I could have done something like that, barge into the office? No. But these days, you just have to adapt because times have changed. You got to adapt. You got to say, okay, all right. That's how they learn, right? And so times have changed, guys. And I don't have to explain that or apologize to you. She's the boss. She walks into the office. That's it. Everything is stopped right here and then. We'll take a quick break because the boss is back in the office. She's looking for something, but we'll be right back, guys.
I will keep you on the job if you take your car and drive to the end of the road and come back. I'll wait right here and I'll keep you on the job. Take your car and drive and go in and come back out.
No, I can't drive on that road.
Well, then you can't keep the work.
Sit there and fabricate that. Unless you say who the person is, I can't comment on anonymous people.
Okay, well, let's talk about specific individuals. What is your relationship with Mr. Su Jurong?
Su? Oh, Su? My relationship? Nothing.
Of course, your relationship with Sue. That is what she's asking you. What the heck is your relationship with Sue? Well, we know you were caught off guard. You couldn't answer that at all. We knew why you couldn't answer it, because were you to say, what is your relationship with Sue? Something going on there. Something fishy. Big fat fish. Anyways, so he couldn't say what's his relationship like with Sue because he's going to spill the beans, so to speak, right? And so guess what? That's these guys. When they're confronted, they're like pussycats. They can't answer questions, right? And so he Jack Dale, that pussycat, at his press conference, he behaves like he's a big bad wolf. Oh, barks. That's because they have idiots like the critics and those sort of so-called guys, so-called journalists. That is how he behaves. But have you ever seen him confronted by a real journalist, a real reporter, one-on-one? Look at what that woman from Vice News did to him. Made a paku out of a big paku. That's what he is, a paku. And so he sits at his press conference and talks all sort of nonsense. That is what he does, a paku, you know. Anyways, let's get back to Egil, right? Egil deserves the award for the night. Egil deserves. How many of you guys think that Egil should get the award?
It will keep you on the job if you take your car and drive to the end of the road and come back. I'll wait right here and I'll keep you on the job. Take your car and drive and go in and come back out.
No, I can't drive on that road.
Well, then you can't keep the work.
Well, then you can't keep the work. Well, then you can't keep the work. So these guys have no decency. You can't call the contractors in. You know, if you have a problem with a contractor, and I hope that contractor understands how embarrassing it is, and I hope the contractor wouldn't support the PPP after today. But that's another story, right? But why not, if you go to visit some work that's supposed to be done in Region 3, whichever region, and you have questions about the job, the contract, the best thing to do, the decent thing to do, the most professional thing to do is to call the contractors in for a meeting. And then you're able to talk and discuss it properly. That's it. But you don't do that. But that's what happens when you have some guys who are accustomed. They're not even accustomed running a cake shop. They're not even accustomed handling their business properly whenever they go at the cathedral. They don't. Jack Dale doesn't do that. Egil doesn't do that. They're a bunch of nimakarams, a bunch of katahars, a bunch of korhis. That is what they are. And because of a little power that they have, political power, they go and they want to talk down to people. They want to embarrass people. He should have done that to me. I would have met he and the mala run up the road. He and the mala. I don't know why people put things around their necks. Well, mala. They don't deserve mala around their necks, if you ask me. But don't ask me what they deserve around their necks, right? But certainly not mala. Not mala. Not mala. I don't know what they deserve around their necks, but certainly not mala. A bunch of paku. So here goes the award for Bishop, so-called Bishop Egil. 1, 2, 3. So that's it. That's it for Egil. Waste of time. Waste of time. A bunch of kunumunus in the PPP. A bunch of kunumunus can't run a country, right? They used to eat half a dal puri with loud sour. Now them guys sitting down at the Pegasus, they're sitting down at the Marriott and all these sort of things. Egil the other day, before they got into office, by being installed, of course, used to eat egg ball. Now the man giving the dogs egg ball to eat. And now don't get me wrong. Well, I'm not an egg ball lover. You know, Jack Dale and them love the egg balls. But Egil and these guys were like a bunch of kunumunus walking around begging for a little dollar, the seawall, and all these sort of things. Now suddenly they think they're powerful, big and powerful. Big and powerful. That is what they think they are. I agree with you, Donna Brown Harcourt. Hey, how are you doing, Donna? Hey, Dwayne, how are you doing, Dwayne? Now, hey, and don't get me wrong, if contractors have to be disciplined, that is not how you do it. Only a dunce operate the way that these guys are operating. But then again, we know they're all a bunch of dunces. Air Finale, you name it, all of them. So, hey, what else we want to talk about tonight? I want to talk about this here quickly. Case dismissed, Tyrone Hamilton. I think he's a cyclist or something like that. No stranger to the media, other than being a cyclist. So Kanu now decided a few months back in February, a bunch of cocaine, two workers at the airport were caught, allegedly caught, throwing a bag over the fence. It turned out to worth millions upon millions of dollars of cocaine. After Kanu did their investigations, they arrested this guy. He was locked up. He's supposedly locked up. These days, you don't know who's in jail and who's not in jail, because a controversial businessman connected to the PPP, his brother who murdered a guy in Kitty, was supposed to have been in jail. They opened the door, sneak him out of jail, sent him out of the country for treatment and all, and that guy died the other day. We're told that that's the story. They haven't refuted that, so we'll have to assume, unless Bacchus comes out and say something otherwise. That's his brother who owns this sleep-in hotel. Now, that's the allegations, mind you, unless he comes out to say otherwise, whether his brother was let out of prison, even while awaiting trial on a murder charge. He wasn't placed on bail. Now, let's get to Tyrone Hamilton. Tyrone Hamilton was supposedly remanded to prison since February. Now, I'm not sure whether he was in jail or not, because like I said, when you think people are in jail based on connections, they're not necessarily in jail. So Tyrone Hamilton is a lucky chap, because Kanu, Customs Anti-Narcotics Unit, headed by James Singh, Joe Singh's son, Brigadier General Joe Singh's son. Oh, Kanu. So they decided months afterwards that they're going to withdraw the charges of conspiracy against this guy, Tyrone Hamilton. So lucky guy, he's gone. That's it, dismissed. So suddenly Kanu decides that they no longer want anything. Suddenly, just a dry. James Singh, just a dry. Now, if they knew they had nothing against this guy, Tyrone, now I'm not sitting here to say Tyrone Hamilton was guilty of anything. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying, though, is that it took Kanu all these months to realize that they want to withdraw the conspiracy charges against Tyrone Hamilton. And let us assume that this guy is innocent. You get him in prison since February, and now you decide that you're going to withdraw the charges. Hundreds of millions of dollars worth of cocaine, mind you. And so we'll withdraw the charges. Go home now. Go home. Hey guys, what's happening at Kanu? What is happening at Kanu? Can somebody answer that question? Is there anything good that's happening at Kanu? Or Kanu, they're only targeting low-level dealers? Low-level dealers. When was the last time you heard Kanu go after the big fish? The big fat fish, right? When was the last time? I bet none of you can say when was the last time, because the truth of the matter is Kanu under James Singh does not go after the big fish. The drug lords who disguise themselves as gold dealers, miners, gold miners, and some of them are part of the private sector commission. And so they legitimize themselves, right? That is what's happening. Somebody saying it's Joe Singh nephew, not his. Clement Gonzalez, it is his son. That's his only son. Now I know Joe, I know the wife, I know the son. So Clement Gonzalez, relax. But good night though. Good night. But Joe Singh's son, James Singh, is the head of Kanu. And Kanu is not doing its job. Story done. Is not doing its job. They're going after them small fries. Small fries. Hey, what else we can do? I got to get in touch with Sharma Solomon, the mayor of Linden. But before we get in touch with Sharma Solomon, take a look at this, guys. Take a look at this. The leader of the People's National Congress Reform, Aubrey Norton, he is also the leader of the opposition and the leader of the Alliance for Change, Nigel Hughes. This is what Jack Dale has to say. Racist cabals now control AFC and PNC. Now, it is up for these guys and their crew and their PR people to fight back at Jack Dale. I don't know when they're going to do it, but it's for them to fight back. Jack Dale has none, and we all know this. Jack Dale has no moral authority to talk about racist cabal. Jack Dale is the biggest racist they have in Guyana. What was it that Freddie Kissoon, he sued Freddie Kissoon because Freddie Kissoon called him an ideological racist. Barrett Jack Dale, according to Freddie Kissoon, is an ideological racist. The matter was taken to court. I don't know if Freddie Kissoon got a settlement, got a little money, and he take a little money and gone. I don't know. But the matter was finished, closed off. I don't know what happened. But Jack Dale is the last person to be calling people racist. Now, let us pause for a moment. Imagine Jack Dale is saying that the AFC and the PNC are, because of their executive, the makeup of their executives, the the PNC, the AFC. Now, it's for these guys to figure out what's really going on. But Jack Dale is saying, because somebody got paid a box of cook-up and 3 pieces of fried fish and some clothes to go to the cathedral tonight to ask a question concerning the executive members, the senior members of the PNC and the AFC. Now, the PNC apparently got their leader, they got their chairman, they got their other individuals within the party. And what they're alleging, the PPP, is that, they're all persons of African descent. And that the AFC is the same thing. But wait a minute. Don't tell me that there wasn't a reporter or a journalist right there at that same press conference to question this same Paku about the PPP's central executive. All of the members, all of the senior members of the PPP are of one ethnic group. One. All of them are of East Indian descent. Every single one of them. Included in that group is Nigel Jerome Lawal. All of them. Every single one of them. You mean to tell me, oh man, Yadelka Garcia, where have you been? Where have you been? Like, you now resurrect. Good to see you though. So, wait man, you mean to tell me that there wasn't anybody there to ask Jack Dale to tell everyone, what's the ethnic makeup of the members of the central executive of the People's Progressive Party? Every single one of them are of the same ethnic persuasion. All are East Indian descent. Every single one of them. So then Jack Dale saying, hey, wait a minute, that because the PNC has some members up there of African descent, he's criticizing them. Then the AFC, the same thing, is criticizing them. But he is not looking in the goddamn mirror. All of them in the PPP high bracket, every single one. Now, the PPP party is as racist as it gets. Racist as it gets. They don't want a person of African descent to be the general secretary of the party or to be the leader or the presidential candidate. They don't want that. Who could be more racist than these Pacus? Look at what they do with all of the contracts. 99% of the contracts, the big contracts, are given to persons of East Indian descent. That is a fact. And just a handful, mind you. You ever hear they give a person of African descent or a Amerindian, an indigenous person, $1 billion contract? Look who gets the $1 billion contracts compared to who get a little 100 million or a 200 million to build a school like in Linden. And then when they gave those Pacus the money in Linden to build a school, over 2 years now, can't build a school. They go back and get more. They dictate to those guys where they must spend their money and who they must buy stuff from. Y'all gonna understand really what's going on, right? But the PNC, I ain't see the PNC lashback. I ain't see the AFC lashback. But maybe they're focusing on lashing back each other. I don't know. That's another story, right? But this idiot here, Barrett Jagdeo, who should be in jail right now, swinging in a hammock with Bobo, right now in jail. This is a guy got a lot of mouth, lots and lots of mouth. But I want to say this to Barrett Jagdeo. If you get all that mouth and you feel you get seed more than Biden, take a trip to New York, please. Take a trip to the United States of America. Show your supporters that you're a real man. Prove to them for once in your life that you're a real man. Prove it. Prove it. Take a trip to the United States of America. Just do it. But before you do, consult with Caesar. This guy, this senior police officer, consult with him. Consult with the others who have been questioned by U.S. law enforcement agencies. Consult with them before you go, before you travel to the U.S. Consult with them. And before you go as well, consult with May Thomas. Consult with her. She's a member of the party and she's hardworking or so forth and so on. Consult with her as well, Jagdeo. But if you get seed more than Biden, travel to the United States of America. Travel. Just travel. So this whole thing in the PPP propaganda press about racist cabals now control AFC, PNC. Now these guys can fight for themselves. I hope they do. They get their PR people could fight for them. Let them fight. Let these guys, Nigel Hughes and Aubrey Norton, sorry about that, let them fight for themselves. Let them defend themselves. But what I'm saying here is, guess what? Barrett Jagdeo is not the right person to be talking about these things because he is 10 times worse than these guys. 10 times worse. Barrett Jagdeo, they have no respect for persons of African descent. None whatsoever. Absolutely none. So shame on Barrett Jagdeo. Shame on Barrett Jagdeo. These guys and their party, whatever little thing they got to fix, I'm sure they will probably fix it. But their parties are far more inclusive than the PPP can ever imagine. Far more inclusive. Now, let's move away from that for a moment. Hey, guess what? Guess what happened? At his so-called press conference today, Barrett Jagdeo said that during the 5 years the PNC or the coalition was actually in office, they couldn't fix the electricity problem, blackouts and so forth. That's a lie. That's a barefaced lie. But if he expected the coalition to fix that in less than 5 years, then what are we to ask? The PPP couldn't fix GPL for the 23 years they've been in office, but now blaming the coalition that they couldn't fix GPL in less than 5 years. In less than 5 years, GPL was far better than the 23 years under the corrupt PPP regime. Corrupt Amila Falls, corrupt everything, corruption. They even thief cocaine from the drug lords them. They even thief the money from the drug lords them. The drug lords them had to pay the officials of the PPP money to send their drugs out and all manner of things. That's the PPP. Do you think the PPP has changed? No, they haven't changed. Do you think they're going to change? No, they're not going to change their dirty ways. They're going to keep popping molly all across the streets of Guyana, pretending as though they care about you guys. So don't worry, them things, they're throwing the lash at Aubrey, they're throwing the lash at Nigel, and so forth and so on. It's called silly political games. But we know better. All of us, as they say in Guyana, right? We big, but we get sense. Now let's move to Linden. Under the PPP regime, this is what they made happen. And today happens to be 12 years since they slaughtered these three guys, these three Lindeners, who did nothing, absolutely nothing to be slaughtered under the PPP regime, under Donald Ramotar's presidency. Slaughtered these people as a result of some trigger-happy guys in the Guyana police force. At that time, Hicken, who happens to be the acting the acting police commissioner right now, he was commander there in Region 10, in Linden. And that is what's happening. Three persons slaughtered. Shame on the PPP regime. The PPP regime has blood, lots and lots of blood on their hands. This here, Donald Ramotar, as a result of this, Donald Ramotar, we could say, as a result of this, under his presidency, he has blood on his hands. And when was it too? Crummy Wing. Under Donald Ramotar's presidency, blood on his hands. We can say that, politically speaking. The same for, who was it, was Prime Minister? Sam Himes, who sits there in Washington, D.C. as Guyana's ambassador to the U.S. What does he do? What has he ever achieved? What? Can somebody say what Sam Himes has achieved? Absolutely nothing. They just give him that job to go and sit down, and that's it. Retirement, just relax, and that's about it, right? That's about it. Shame on the PPP. Shame on Donald Ramotar. I saw him a couple of times on David Hines' show. Well, these guys, big, heavy, tight tongue. Minority president. I don't know. David Hines got some tolerance with these guys. Somebody said David Hines was another guy who cried while he was on in Brickdam lockups there. Freddie Kissoon crying like a little baby. I wanted to say something else. Cry like a little. All right, so let's go to this brief ceremony out there in Linden today. We spent about a minute or two, and then we'll have Sharma Solomon, the mayor of Linden, with us for a couple of minutes. Hopefully we'll get him.
Let's put your hands together and welcome Sharma Solomon with worship and make his voice known.
Thank you very much, Master Ceremony, Councillor Daron John. God is great indeed. Amen. I'd like to recognize the leader of the opposition and leader of the People's National Congress, Mr. Aubrey Norton, Mr. Jermaine Figueroa, Member of Parliament, Regional Chairman, Mr. Deron Adams, to the Member of Parliament, Ms. Coretta MacDonald, to our councillors of the RDC and the MNTC. I see Mr. Vincent Adams, one of the presenters. Let me recognize him. Alexander. And to all the invitees and to you, Lindeners, let me take the opportunity to say Almighty God is great, and it is indeed every year a distinct pleasure to be here in your midst to commemorate 12 years of what we call the Linden tragedy of 18th of July, where 3 Lindeners lost their lives and several dozen or others that were injured. And as I do every year, I'd like to take the opportunity to extend my sincerest condolences to those who are here with us, the family and the family members of those who lost their lives, Mr. Alan Lewis, Shemroy Boye, and Ron Somerset, and to those who many injured. But I'd like to take this opportunity today on behalf of myself and family to the Lewis brothers, that's Orlando and Rodwell, sons of Alan. They've also lost their stepfather sometime this week. So that's why they're not here today to commemorate with us this 12th commemoration of the 18th of July. So I'd like to extend to them and family, their mother, our thoughts and prayers, and to say with them as a community, as we've demonstrated and will continue to do, that we are here for them and we will continue to be here for them. But like I always say too, many times when we acknowledge those who paid the ultimate sacrifice with the loss of lives, we overlook those who continue to live with the trauma, those injured, and even the wider community, and not recognizing that in this community, 12 years ago, men who were assigned to serve and protect came with masks and dark clothing to murder and to kill. And that sort of trauma remains fresh and etched in our memories and even in our psyche as we go about our...
Well said there, Mayor of Linden, Sharma Solomon. It is still there. It is fresh. 12 years, it is fresh. Fresh. Absolutely. It is fresh in the minds of people. And the Mayor of Linden has a point. So we do have the Mayor of Linden with us this evening. Mr. Mayor, good night, sir.
Hi, bless. Good evening, Mark. How are you doing, sir?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Good evening to your audience.
Yeah, we were playing just a quick clip there of you, that ceremony today. 12 years. Reflect on when this incident happened 12 years ago. What was your initial reaction then?
Let me just say before I go, Mark, as I would usually do to the families, to our martyrs, the family, Shemrai, Alan, and Ron, express as I usually do, on behalf of myself and the community, our sincerest condolences to them and to those who got injured. As of this morning, Mark, it is a reminder that the years will pass and the scars and the pain will remain very fresh in the minds of the people who suffered. You know, this morning we had the replaying exercise and you saw uncontrollable weeping by the family. We see this every year, even as we had the event this afternoon. And my first impression when the incident unfolded was the sort of brutality a government that should be acting in the interests of the people, using an arm of the state in the Guyana Police Force that should be serving and protecting citizens to conduct such an exercise on the 18th of July, having weeks before engagement with the government on the tariff removal will cause unbearable burden to the people. I could not then, as the chairman, and even as a Guyanese, believe that you could have had a government unwilling to listen to the pleas of Guyanese that said to them, not that we're unwilling to pay, but that we're unable to do 1,500% increase in electricity bill. Because the economics of the community and all that was happening in Linden, even to date, does not sustain how you could justify a 1,500% increase in electricity tariffs. So I really could not, and I think the people of Linden, based on the treatment of continuous rights violation, whether those were TV station and so many other things, that it came to a point where people just felt that they had enough and they had to respond by ensuring the government respect their rights to stand in the streets for 31 days and to take the necessary actions that they took.
Well said, Mayor of Linden, Sharma Solomon, with us for a few minutes. Mr. Solomon, you do remember back then, because you were chairman of Region 10, the measly amount of compensation given to the families, just maybe a couple of $100,000. Let me just remind our listeners that that was corrected under the coalition. They got a better amount of compensation compared to the insult under the PPP regime, correct?
Yes, well, the first compensation given to Ron Somerset was $1 million.
Which is about 5,000 US. Sorry, go ahead.
Yes, 5,000 US, and the other two families collected then $3 million apiece. As we know, Mark, the most fundamental breach of the Constitution on the 18th of July that occurred was the violation of the right to life. And there is no amount of compensation then or now that could compensate for the lives lost. However, because of that meager sum, a civil suit was filed, and the government then agreed $71 million should be paid. To date, even though it is the government of the day last January engaged the families to make right that $71 million. They did, this PPP government did. They have not to date placed that money in the hands of the family. To date. I was hoping that would have been done before this 12th anniversary. It was not.
So let me Mr. Mayor, sorry that I interject. The compensation was awarded under the coalition.
Yes, it was.
Now, some folks may ask, if it was awarded under the coalition, why not pay out then? What happened?
Mark, I don't know the details of what happened. What I know for sure is that every arrangement was put in place at the no confident motion, and I know that certain amounts of monies could not have been accessed. I don't know if that is the reason why. Why maybe it took so long, I don't know why it took so long, but I know that it was in the process of making that payment from the coalition at $71 million. This would be the last year of the coalition. And I hope that the new government, this government, it matters not which government, must make right by the people. Let us not forget, Mark, a commission of inquiry was done for this 18th of July, a commission where the terms of reference and the commissioners were put together by the People's Progressive Party. And it is that commission, Mark, that found culpable and outlined that it was only the Guyana Police Force who did the shooting on the 18th. And as such, that report in itself demonstrated why the government must pay compensation. So whether it's the coalition or the PPP government, the commission of inquiry, which was done 30 years after any such commission was done in this country, done by the PPP with their own terms of reference, held the Guyana Police Force liable for that, for killing 3 men. So compensation must be paid, Mark.
Good, and that is fair enough. We understand under the coalition there were restrictions, especially during the last year leading up to elections and so forth. But why do you suppose 4 years the PPP regime is refusing to compensate the family? Why? I mean, many people can assume.
There are many reasons, Mark, but I general attitude of this government. This is not the only incident that we see this government unwilling agents at the fault saying that it is the government of Guyana under the People's Progressive Party that should be held culpable for the destruction and lives lost. And we can look only last year, the 20 lives of our indigenous brothers and sisters who perished by fire. And to see that they received $3 million, even though a commission of inquiry was done and pointed to all the deficiencies that allowed and resulted in those young people's deaths. It is the same with, it is a government that showing that they're unwilling and not prepared to be held accountable, even though reports and commission of inquiries done by them under their own terms of reference have held them accountable for the cause of lives. So it is first to say this government is not prepared to take responsibility for actions conducted by them. And second, we can look at Linden as a location where the government, based on its violation of the rights and resulting in the loss of lives, is willing to demonstrate that they have breached that fundamental right of the loss of lives and should be paying for that. So I don't see this government changing that. I would say this: they engaging the family as of January made me felt as though they were prepared to go against that which is to be held accountable. But now that they have not done that, it is just proving what that track record of this government is about, that they're unwilling to be held accountable, even when the commission of inquiry done by them show that they are culpable for damages and loss of lives.
You know, it's not a matter of whether they're held culpable or not, is that the matter was dealt with under the previous administration. There was a settlement, and they need to they need to basically carry out that settlement. Regardless of who is in office, they need to basically respect that. And they continue to disrespect the families of those three martyrs. They continue, by extension, to disrespect the people of Linden. And these are the people who
stop short the people of Guyana.
Exactly. These are the people in the PPP who love to give the impression that they care about people or they love the people of Linden and so forth. But now it is the people are hearing, maybe a lot of folks didn't hear this, that the PPP continue to spite the relatives of these individuals who were killed under the PPP regime by agents of the PPP, agents of the state. I hope they do pay up these people their monies. You were saying something else, Mr. Mayor. Yeah.
Well, I really liked how you captured that, because it brought two things into focus. The commission of inquiry showed where they should pay for the cause of the loss of life. That is evident. And then you're right. This was a settlement in court to show that if they respect the judicial outcome of what is entitled to those families. So at both levels, those families should be made right by ensuring they collect the compensation for the lives of their loved ones.
Absolutely. Let's move away from that. And again, we say condolences. Our hearts are with those family members. I met some of their parents, I think. One elderly woman died. I can't recall which one of
them. That's Miss Daphne Lewis. Yeah. That's Alan's mom.
Yeah. I met with all of the families back then, and it's very painful. Let's move away, and condolences to the family and by extension, the people of Linden, as we remember 12 years since those individuals were slaughtered under the PPP regime. Mr. Mayor, let's move on now to the flood. Were flood victims compensated by the PPP regime?
No, they weren't, Mark. And I want to say how disappointed I am that we have over 200 households, which means several hundred persons who were affected severely by floods on the 29th of May. And a few weeks after, And the disappointment and why persons must be very mindful about marginalization and discrimination in this country. It's a very real and evident issue, especially when you live in communities such as Linden. All those Guyanese, Lindeners who suffered severely and still continue to suffer, it was at the hands of the negligence of this government. And at the level of the municipality, we can say how come. Because we had asked twice in the year 2024 for spending to be directed for the removal of debris and the cleaning of drains within the community of Linden. This was the December period, and during the Linden Tongue Week period, we'd asked for funds from our own account. Even the PPP appointed clerk frustrated us from having the resources to do that cleaning in April. The PPP, in preparation for the flag raising, spent over 100 or almost $100 million. We got 77, it should be more. And in that cleanup exercise, cleaned areas irrelevant to where the municipality and the leadership of the community had asked for them to focus on. Here comes the flood on the 29th of May. Days after that massive cleanup exercise, creeks, drains, and areas we'd asked the clerk and also the PPP to focus their attention on were overlooked. And then you had massive flooding days after. It is in that light mark. And when we'd asked for more cleaning to be done with the second set of flooding in the Republic Avenue area, it is in that regard also that we are saying that compensation must be paid, because it is absolute negligence on the part of the government in not listening to the local authorities, in giving direction and working to ensure a stakeholder approach so that we can have the right attention to be paid to creeks such as Aymara, Katakaro, and in those alleys and valleys would have prevented hundreds of homes from being flooded. So that's the first thing. But let us look comparatively to other parts of Guyana, where we saw flooding occurred to farmers, and rightly so, compensation was given. We saw Mr. Mustafa, Minister of Agriculture. We saw Mr. Nandalal, Minister of Legal Affairs, who went to Berbice days after flooding and cash $1 billion on a table and to distribute it to those farmers. Let us not forget, an inquiry was held into that distribution that found that that had so many flaws that the audit was done on it, recommended that person should be held accountable for that. Those were the start of mismanagement and misbehavior that went on even to help those who suffered. That people who never plant a pine plant or a pawpaw or a orange or a tomato collected millions of dollars in compensation. And let us not forget our Puri lady and our Polari friend. These are the sort of attention in swiftness given to people in other parts of the country who suffered. But in Linden, to date, months after, persons are still waiting to hear about compensation.
And there we understand why. Shame on the racist PPP regime. They feel they can go into Linden, a couple of people who are Pakus, and give that impression, false impression, that they care about the town. The PPP doesn't care about the town. A couple of days ago, I saw...
Just before Mark, the only would be a black bucket and a bottle of bleach so far for these floods.
Yeah,
just to put that on.
Jay's fluid, little sweet smell, and that's what they believe the people of Linden deserve. These racist people in the PPP regime and the Uncle Toms. Speaking of the Uncle Toms, the other day I read a report that Mark Phillips, who sits there as the supposed prime minister, was in the mining tongue or met with some folks from the mining tongue. Were you invited to that meeting and other executives of the council, sir?
Well, I received a notice maybe an hour before the event, which I had prior arrangements already noted I know that the Prime Minister wasn't in Linden to deal with the floods, which I found very offensive, that to have a meeting, and the irony of this, Mark, the Prime Minister came to Linden for the kayaking, which is a water sport. He came to sport with the water rather than to talk to the people who were affected by the water. I found that as a priority mix-up. So that's the first thing, but I wasn't available. But I hope that the Prime Minister recognized that we do have a disaster preparedness committee that is managed by the chairman of the region, Mr. Darren Adams. And we would hope that that protocol is properly adopted, because in that protocol, the preparedness committee would have the necessary stakeholders from the different agencies within the region and the town that are with the resources to be able to adequately and properly respond. So I would hope that the Prime Minister would not, the next time, by the way, attend to an emergency issue that have affected hundreds of Lindeners, but to also ensure that the proper channel and the protocols established are so followed, so that we can have those who are to be able to respond appropriately be given the resources by government, as we said before, and not to have it misdirected, so that it can be placed in the right areas and people can have the right relief, and give them the sort of confidence that what is being done will result in them not suffering further. I would hope that the Prime Minister understand that protocol.
You know, Mr. Mayor, don't hold your breath to that. The guy who sits there as the so-called Prime Minister is just having fun. He doesn't care about the tongue that he originates from. He just doesn't care about that. He doesn't care about people. He doesn't have the power. He's just a mere puppet enjoying life as a result of his position. Now, let's move away from that puppet for a moment. Let's talk about the school. Hundreds of millions of dollars spent on a school that should have been completed years ago, at least 2 years ago. What's the situation with that school, please, Mr. Mayor?
Well, the school, Mark, I want to say as the councillor for constituency 1, as a councillor, I remember that being one of the most important issue on the platform that we represented last year, 2023 local government election on Weimar. Not only the fact that this is education, what it means to our nation, but because the government was warned about those who they were given this contract to. And not only warned about those who they were given the contract to, the government proceeded to give this contract in light of not having the fulfillment of the basic requirements, such as the necessary compliances of GRA and NIS. Those things would have said if the individuals or the company given this contract, first at NIS, would have managed events with hundreds of people at this amount, at GRA, if they would have managed this sort of contract that deals with infrastructure at this amount, and the fact that they would have not been able to qualify that contract immediately should not have proceeded any further. The fact that the contract proceeded beyond that point says a lot about our institutions, whether the tender board or the procurement commission. Those are where the real fault is. So we can go to the contractor, we can go to the fact that the school is incompleted. But if the process by which we allow the contract to be given is not fixed, I can see, and Guyana can see, why we are having all of these issues affecting Guyanese with reference to incomplete contracts. And I don't want to call a critic name or those other contractors, but we can see mega projects across the country that are incompleted. But back to the school, Mark. 800 pupils in the primary school level in the largest constituency in this country, Amelia's Ward, is without a school and have to hope that September they have a school. Now, let me tell you how this affects one person. Last year during local government, a young lady will have to find a taxi fare to take her children almost a mile to the closest primary school, which is Amelia's Ward Primary School or Regma Primary School, 2 miles away. That being said, Mark, it will take her about $10,000 a month. Now, that woman will have to then consider, and I can give you a name because they're actual persons who can identify with this story. That woman now have to think in the morning if it's important now to feed her children or send them to school. It is that sort of tough decisions that parents have to make with the absence of the Amelia's Ward Bamia Primary School, with the absence of the Bamia Primary School that was given to Statement Inc. that is incomplete and would have so far missed 3 deadlines.
3 deadlines. Guys, are you guys listening? 3 deadlines, hundreds of millions of dollars, no accountability, apparently. Habapaku has some sort of...
And by the way, the last deadline was the 1st of April, All Fool's Day.
All Fool's Day, yeah. We all knew it. Once they set it at 1st of April, we all knew it. We saw some hustlers sitting at the meeting talking about drainage now again in Linden with Mark Phillips. We already know that contracts are going to be awarded soon. We can expect that. Mr. Mayor, I know I've taken up a lot of your time, even at the last minute phone call to you. Thank you. But before we go, Bara Jagdev is claiming that the coalition did nothing for housing, nothing for people's house lots, no development in terms of housing. We all know that to be a lie, because Linden was developed under the PNC, all of the housing schemes and so forth and so on. Talk to us about house lot distributions and areas that were developed specifically under or primarily under the coalition, sir.
I think last year, again, we made local government where it was very good to go to constituencies, because what we found in several of our constituencies in terms of its development from the past is the many fingerprints by the People's National Congress, especially in the area of housing. And Linden in particular embodied that principle of house, clothe, and feed the nation, one of the principal policies of the People's National Congress. Because we have to prove for that several self-help housing schemes, including Amelia's Ward. Now, why I made reference of that is because in the local government election, to counter what progress we were making in terms of the campaign, we got one of the most blatant lies from Bara Jagdeo, that he is responsible for the development of Amelia's Ward. Farthest from the truth. Amelia's Ward, established in the 70s under the Self-Help Initiative Program, especially Brazina, especially the Hope Town Square, and several other areas in Amelia's Ward, demonstrated what the PNC government then in Wizrock, in the 1 Mile area and the Wisma Housing Scheme community, wanted to ensure Guyanese were able to have home ownership that give them the sort of empowerment in the future. That sort of hopelessness rests with Guyanese now. Even though we're in an oil and gas economy, last Building Expo, the government admitted 60,000 applications for house lots remain on file today, Mark. And even though they're distributing continuously, they're not going to be able to satisfy more than 40,000, which will keep 20,000 on file. This is file. We're not speaking of new applicants coming into the system. What the government is in essence admitting after 23 years in power, and now another 4 years, is that they have badly mishandled and managed the housing sector to the extent that they cannot even satisfy what is on file, much less to give young Guyanese who want to get into the system hope that they can have that empowerment that the PNC had given Guyanese through self-help initiative without an oil and gas economy. So even in that basic reasoning, Mark, the government can throw all the figures it wants now. It is their figures that we can use to show how badly they're mishandling the housing sector and how little hope they're giving young Guyanese at the level of home ownership, which gives them generational wealth when they have home ownership. So I don't even have to go into what I think, except what we can see in comparison to what happened with housing before.
Well said. Thank you so much, Mr. Sharma Solomon. We appreciate your time. And again, we salute you for your work out there in Linden and in Region 10, and also all those who participated in the 12th anniversary of the three martyrs there.
Thank you, Mark. Before I go, it would be remiss of me not to say Mark Benchcop was one of our lead supporters, one of the activists that came on board recognizing the many breach of the rights of citizens. We did not only stop in Guyana, we went to the United States with Mark Benchcop. We met senior officials of the US government, the State Department, to take our case as to the transgressions that were taking place in Linden in terms of marginalization and discrimination. So not only on my own behalf, Mark, but that of the people of Linden, I want to say thank you for your service given and continue service given.
Thank you so much, Mr. Solomon. And thanks again for your time. Don't be a stranger. We have an open door policy. I'll say this publicly. If you want to have a program here on 107.1 talking about these things every week, chatting with the mayor of Linden, let us know, and we have an open door for you guys, free of charge. Just come on and talk and showcase what's happening in Linden, the good stuff and the political struggle, specifically spitefulness from the PPP regime. Our next occasion, we'll have you, because I hear some balloons popping in the background. Is it balloons or hammer? Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. Appreciate your time, sir.
You're welcome, Mark, and do have a blessed rest of the evening. And to your audience, too.
Appreciate it. All right, Sharma Solomon there for you guys, the mayor of Linden, talking to you. And this is what we've got to do to Bundari. We've got to be able to set the record straight and let people know that Bundari is a big liar in every aspect. That is what he does. And so, we're thankful that the mayor was on and was able to set the record straight in a lot of areas, lots and lots of areas, including Jack Deere's lies about house lots and housing projects and so forth. Lots and lots of lies. And we expect that. That is what he does. He lies every single time he holds a press conference. He lies and he lies and he lies. The thing can't help himself. To put it mildly, the thing can't help himself. That's what he does every single time. And so this is why I'm saying that the opposition, they have to get some sort of serious PR team to confront. They just cannot say, oh, forget about it. Forget about it. It's okay. Let him lie. No, they can't say that. They got to counter these lies. They can't wait for a press conference until next week if they have a press conference or whatever. It's called rapid reaction. They have to have what is called rapid reaction. That is what is needed. Rapid reaction to put this guy to rest, politically speaking, mind you. Put him to rest, politically speaking. You cannot have Bharat Jagdeo get away with the lies. You cannot have that at all. Anyways, guess what? That's what we do here. We counter the lies of the corrupt, racist PPP regime. Again, who could be more racist than Jack Deere? Look at the makeup of the central executive of the People's Progressive Party, and you'll understand exactly where I'm coming from with that. All right. Again, if you're going to head out to the cathedral, be careful. There's an old individual, old worker who used to be there, I'm told, many years ago. He's now back because he has to raise a couple of $1 million to pay some his former friends them, his buddies them. You got to pay them. So watch out. Don't pick up the wrong person tonight, guys. Those who like to circle around the cathedral and do their thing, right? Don't pick up the wrong person tonight. All right. So what else to say? Good night. I noticed some of you have joined us late, but it's always a pleasure to have all of you watching. And those of you who are celebrating your birth anniversary, we say happy birth anniversary. If there's any anniversary that you're celebrating, we are with you guys. We are a family. We keep it nice and clean and decent and respectful here. That is what we do. You don't cuss out. Let it take who want cuss out. Y'all think y'all cuss out somewhere else. We don't do that here at all. All right, what else? What else is happening? Oh, before we go, somebody put that guy, was it Getz? I don't know. U.S. Congress turned into like a mockery now, a mockery. But those of you, thank you so much, Lemon. Those of you, this is an elections year. They want people to vote. If you haven't yet filed for your U.S. citizenship and you're here for about or approaching 5 years, maybe 4 years and 8 months or 4 years and 9 months, you can still start the process right now in filing for your citizenship. They will speed the process up. Usually in an elections year, they speed the process up. So do not sit down and stay idle. Get your citizenship done right now. And for those of you, if you can't get it done anywhere else and you want us to do it here at Benchop Consultancy Immigration, give me a call, 917-714-1082. And we'll get it done for you as quickly as possible. So go out there, guys, get your citizenship and be prepared to vote in the November presidential elections in the United States of America. I'll be back tomorrow, Friday, same place, same time, right here on 107.1 FM. God bless you all. Have a great rest of the night. See you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, my name is Jacinty Caldata Francis Vietnam, and since 1965, I become a voter. And I always place my ex next to the cop. And what they are doing today, I can't take it. So I have no more vote to give to PPP anymore. I'm not going to vote anymore no more. If they have to lose by one vote, they're losing it by data.